This week, we've got the chance to find out a little bit about how God's been at work in Olawole's life and a little bit about his story. So, Olawole, would you be able to just maybe initially tell us where you're from, a little bit about your family, and also what you do?
I'm Olawole Kuti, and I am from Nigeria. I have a family, my wife, Fumilola Kuti, and my two boys, Iniolua and Orelua. And I'm working at the Manchester Metropolitan University. I'm a senior lecturer in mechanical engineering.
So how old were you when you moved to the UK? When did you come to the UK?
I left Nigeria in 2007 to pursue my PhD in Japan. And after finishing my studies in Japan, I went back to Nigeria, spent 1 year, and then from Nigeria we relocated to Saudi Arabia in 2013. And in 2014, we relocated to the United Kingdom. And since then, we've made the United Kingdom our home.
And it would be great just for people to have an idea, first of all, how did you first become a Christian yourself?
My parents are Christians, and so I know we used to go to church. But it was when I got to year 9 in high school that I had this encounter of becoming a Christian. When I say being a Christian, being a born again, so I have a friend. I mean, we used to work together, and it was just telling me about, what it means to be a born again. And I realized that yes, it was good for me going to church then, but talking about a personal experience with the Lord, that's what was really missing. So it was when I was in high school that I had this encounter and of being a born again Christian.
Fantastic. So since then, obviously, all of us go on our own journeys. What would you say have been some of the key things that have helped you to grow as a Christian over the years?
One of the key things that have made me to grow as a Christian is God's grace. And what do I mean by God's grace? Somebody defined God's grace as God running the race. It's quite challenging to be a Christian, but when you have God's help helping you, in your day-to-day activities, then it makes the journey easy, So I've realized the importance of God's grace upon my life. And it's not only even in my spiritual life, in other areas of my life. And God's grace has been so, enormous, great, and that has been the story. So God's grace, God running the race, God helping me, physically, I realize that when you say you're a Christian, it's not a question of you having your own power, strength, to live what Jesus Christ has stated in the Bible, but you need the grace of God, and that's what has been helping me.
Love it. And are there any particular things you feel God's speaking to you about at the moment that you're trying to live out of?
God's grace is what God has been speaking to me. The Bible says that the Bible rightly said that His grace is sufficient for us. God's grace means that you are not, the life you're living, it's not you. It's God helping you. And one thing we need to realize is that God qualifies the called. Okay? God didn't call those who are qualified. God only qualifies those who are called. So when you see yourself that God has called you, then we should be rest assured that He has qualified you. And what you need to be qualified is His grace. So God has been speaking that to me, and that's why, the Bible said His grace is sufficient. So when we understand that God's grace is sufficient, then you realize that things are just working the way we expect. Although that could be ups and downs, but let's keep on looking, unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of faith, who will always grant us the grace to run the race.
So, and are there any particular situations that you would say you have particularly experienced His grace in?
If I'm trying to summarize my life, I can say, it's God's grace being personified, in someone's life. And I cannot forget my experience. I remember I was then we were still in London, and I was just going to work one day, and I was riding on the train, and I started feeling somehow. I can't really explain this type of experience, and I had this low blood pressure, and then I was just dying inside the train. And the only thing I was just praying, I said, God, grant me your grace, that I want to be there for my family. Before I realized it, they stopped the train somewhere. The ambulance came, and they took me to an hospital at Woolwich. And the doctor came, they did a lot of tests. And the doctor just came back and the doctor asked me a series of questions. And at the end of the day, I was asking the doctor, I said, Doctor, what is the problem? And doctor said, well, I can't really explain. I left the hospital and I kept on asking. I said, God, why am I alive? Why did you spare my life? Like God is trying to tell me, well, I've given you another chance. I've given you another grace, to live, to be there for your family, to be there for your society, and So I mean, I mean, if I keep on counting what God's grace has done in my life, it's just so much.
Brilliant. It's great just to get a bit of a window into your life.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for sharing, and thanks to you all as a family. We love you're an amazing blessing to us as the Life Church family. It's brilliant to have you.
Thank you very much, Andy. Thanks very much.